what else is top of mind when you think about someone in their 50s and things that they can be doing to benefit their retirement?
The biggest benefit in investing is the first thing is runway, right?
Yeah.
Is that how much time do you actually have to accumulate and have that accumulated money compound year over year? And then the next thing that comes to mind is, okay, once we've got that kind of situated, then it's the what. Like,
right.
What do we invest in? What is the type of investment that I can think will give me the best bang for my buck over what is a longer period of time, right? If we're looking at a 50-year-old, then you're looking at a scenario where, okay, am I retiring at 62? Am I retiring at 65? Or maybe even earlier? You've got a runway there where if planning, tax planning, saving, those things are done right, and then you're investing in an asset class that's most appropriate for what that long-term goal is, then you're in a scenario where, hey, I can really maximize my returns in the appropriate parameters over that period. So that could definitely contribute to the possibility of not having to downsize 10, 12, 15 years from now if you're investing appropriately to what your plan needs. What do we see though when folks come in and sit down in our office though? We see, I don't know what I'm doing in my 401k.
Right.
You know, I'm not talking about current clients, I'm talking about potential prospective clients, but oftentimes we see the opposite, right? It's like, I'm pumping money away, so I'm doing the savings part, but there's not a lot of optimization there. So you go in there and you see a target date fund for a 50-year-old. You know, it's a target date fund being the preset allocation based upon your age, that those tend to be a lot more conservative than they need to be. So more conservative means over time a lot less return. And so that's not necessarily optimizing your returns over a long period of time. It's actually kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Right.
So we see that all the time.
Yeah, I love the word optimize, because what we're trying to do is how do we optimize a portfolio for as long as possible to be working in our client's behalf. And optimizing those portfolios and investing them in the right places is definitely step one. So when we think about building those types of portfolios, what are we using, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we are using the asset class that we have the data on over long periods of time, right? And that from a risk standpoint, you know, if you're going to invest in something remotely risky, there better be the potential for larger than normal returns on the other side, right? So otherwise, why would you take the risk on something if the return wasn't there?
Right.
So we invest in a portfolio of well-diversified individual equities, stocks of some of the greatest companies in the world, right? And our thought process there is, look, for anybody that has any kind of long time horizon, you look back at the data, the empirical evidence in, for example, the S&P 500, it's hard to find a long time period that not only wasn't positive, but was, you know, most periods are positive to the tune of about 10% per year.
Wow.
So that's the type of return that I think a lot of people, particularly long-term investors we come in contact with, should be investing. You know, when you get in a conversation, you know, you understand what their goals are, but up to that point have not been for whatever reason.
Right. And we're not talking about taking every single dollar and putting it into some high-risk individual stock. We're still talking about a diversified portfolio and a risk tolerance that makes sense for these clients.
And diversified is a term that's thrown around a lot. I mean, diversification, so that everybody knows what our definition is, which is, I think, is important, right? It's kind of similar to when somebody says, I want to be risky or I want to be conservative. It's like, they just said that. You know, we're professionals in this business, you know, I still don't know what that means, because that's very subjective based upon their interpretation.
Individual.
So I think it's necessary to, you know, when it comes to diversification, it's very simply put, we never own so much of something where if it goes against you, it can be tremendously detrimental to your financial plan. And on the flip side of that is, we don't ever own enough of something where if it goes up by a lot, it's going to be like hitting grand slams. You know, certainly the portfolios can do well, but that's our definition, if that makes sense, of diversification, is that you need to have enough of things in order to have an impact, but we're never going to have too much of one thing where if that goes wrong, things are going to be really bad for your financial plan. That's our mandate. That's our responsibility.
It's perfect. So when we think about those, where we started this conversation with things we can do as 50-year-olds, where we're talking about obviously saving in the right places. We're talking about optimizing portfolios with how the money's invested. And I think the third part of this is having a plan and sticking with a plan.